Loma Linda, 1050 AM, K292FQ Riverside, and K293CF Moreno Valley.
The following program on KCAA is pre-recorded.
Welcome to Building Solid Foundations. We have a special guest today, Brian George, and we're going to talk in just a minute on what he does and what he has to provide for you today. Great information. Don't forget you can catch us every week on Thursdays and Sundays on AM 1050, FM 102.3, and FM 106.5 on KCAA Radio. You can also catch us on Roku, Amazon Fire TV, and Android, the Building Solid Foundations channel. Go ahead and check that out. And we're on 15 different podcast platforms. We're sure we're on your favorite platform as well. Brian George was a 20-year veteran of the Navy. He worked in Navy intelligence, electronic maintenance. He was a quality assurance supervisor for aircraft launch and recovery equipment, a Navy recruiter, a chief engineer for Armed Services Radio and Television, and a morale, welfare, and recreation supervisor. He also is a programmer analyst and worked for a multinational firm. He ran the largest IT project as a U.S. Navy application. He owned an IT consultancy firm called Fungi Incorporated and added strategic planning for a Boeing division with that. He also worked as a Navy relief counselor where he taught young sailors about budgeting and getting out of debt. As a financial advisor, he also helped find financial tools that would work with other financial advisors and created a charitable planning network in 2021. And that was to help creative solutions to complex financial challenges. And this network also helps high net worth clients while helping charities and as part of the charitable planning. And he later created Charitable Planning Network LLC to help financial advisors bring greater value to their clients. So, Brian George, welcome to Building Solid Foundations. There's a lot more to what he's done, and we'll get into that as we talk and work through this. So, Brian, I want to welcome you to the show, and your primary emphasis right now is on the financial advising, cash flow planning, and charitable planning. So, if you could tell us a little bit about what you're doing and what your area of focus is.
Well, first, thanks for having me. Glad to be here. So, Charitable Planning Network would indicate that one of my primary movers is doing charity, helping nonprofits get more in donation, helping people that are already philanthropic who may want to give more, but they think they can't. There are ways they can, and those ways don't involve pulling out their wallet or their checkbook, and also can potentially leave no negative impact to the legacy they want to leave for their family. So those are usually all good things. Everybody's happy. The organization that gets the donation, they get more money to fulfill their mission. The donor's happy because they get to do what's in their heart.
Okay. And can any charity jump on board this plan?
Pretty much. Any 501c3.
Okay. So it could be education, it could be community service, health services, religious, anything that they want to do and leave a legacy.
Yeah. And private foundations can do it.
Okay. Now, as you do the financial planning, obviously it starts with helping people understand how to manage their money, how to build wealth, and I assume that the charitable planning is something that comes on a little later after they have resources that they could share.
Well, it depends on the situation. I mean, sometimes that's where the conversations start because it's been a referral from someone else. But and for people whose assets I manage, at least once we're going to talk about charity.
Okay.
And if they're not interested and they say never talk to me about this again, then I won't talk to them about it again. But I have found that a lot of people say they don't want to give to charity because they think they can't, not because they don't want.
So they
So
think they can't afford it if that charity would be taking money that they need for life expenses.
I want a fixed income. I can't do this. I might live too long. I'm gonna need my money. I have 30 grandchildren, and I wanted to leave some to each of them. But I can't give to charity.
Okay. And so when you're helping people figure out their financial planning, th- is the issue of people are living so much longer now. People back when they started the retirement stuff back in the 30s with the Social Security Administration, that was kind of where retirement became part of our culture. The life expectancy was considerably lower. People are living well into their 90s and sometimes beyond now. And we were kind of taught, when I was taught in business school about planning for retirement, they were saying you assume your average life expectancy is around 80 years old or so. And people are living 10 to 20 years longer now. So, how much of a problem is that?
Personally, I think the biggest risk for retirees is living too long and outliving them. So
So how do we get around that? Is it finding better ways to invest the money? Is it putting more of our money towards retirement when we know we have limits set by the government on how much we can put in there? Yeah, but my experiences with people early is they don't want to do it. They don't think it's important. I work in a college, and whenever I talk to students about the idea of starting to plan for retirement, they have no interest in it because at their point in life, they figure they got plenty of time. And I was the same way. And I think when you try to get people to start early, people understand and believe that after it's too late to start early.
well, unfortunately, that tends to be a true statement more often than not, because everybody thinks I have plenty of time. I can do this tomorrow. Or I can do this next week.
Right.
Or, and then another day goes by. You can never recover those days that you've let pass. So um, starting early is good. Figuring out what's really important. Uh, some, Sometimes new clients get upset with me because I keep asking, why is this important to you? I want my money to grow. Okay, that's fine. Why is that important? Well, because more money is better than not enough money. Okay, but why is that important to you? Uh, and the reason I drill down on that question is because let, let's say you and I work together, and I do everything you tell me to do, and we get to the top of the hill, and you look around triumphantly, and you find out you're on the wrong hill. So then we've kind of wasted that time. So, uh, so I try to find out what's the most important thing. I had a recent conversation with a new client, and I want my money to grow. Okay, great. Why? Well, doesn't everybody want their money to grow? Yes, but why? Your why is different from someone else's. And we finally got down. I have two adult children, twin girls, who are developmentally delayed, and I want to make sure they're taken care of when I'm okay. Now we're getting. Is there anything more important than
Right. And I think the next step is then defining what does it mean taken care of. Does that mean education? Does that mean housing? Does that mean healthcare? What does that include? Because that'll determine the budget or what your target is.
that?
All right.
But now that I know that this is the most important thing for this person, everything I do going forward is informed by that knowledge, and that's why it's important to know, and that's why um, I can make money for them. However, if it's for the wrong reason, for the wrong goal, then I'm still not doing my job.
Right.
So once you find out exactly what the most important thing is, and it's defined, then you know what you have to do to make sure you achieve it. Certain things are off the table because you just can't afford to expose yourself to that kind of risk. If you need to have a certain amount of assets left over, to take care of this thing, whatever the thing is, and it's going to be a little different for everybody, and it may change. So one woman owns a business, always busy. Hers was, I just want to be able to have enough time to have a family.
Okay.
Okay, that's pretty important. However, once they have the family, then maybe the goal changes. Now it's, I need to make sure my family's taken care of instead of having a family. So then you pivot.
Right. Most single people aren't too concerned about college savings accounts because they don't have kids yet. And once they have kids, all of a sudden that becomes a big priority. So we go to the why, and I think of the old exercise where you ask why multiple times to get drilled down deeper and deeper and deeper. Okay, you want more money? Why? I want it for my family. Why? Well, I want to provide for them. Why? Well, you just keep going on deeper and deeper and deeper, and pretty soon you realize that it has to do with vacation memories, it has to do with a nice house, it has to do with education, it has to do with being able to take care of their health, and all of that gets to the real reason why they need the money. We're going to have to take a break. We're going to be right back with Brian George after this short break. This is Building Solid Foundations. I'm your host, Steve Matley, and don't go anywhere.
Fire Up Connect is the most innovative business networking group, supporting and collaborating with a dozen of small businesses that are interested in building and establishing strong business connections, hosting educational live seminars while carrying out business and community-driven projects, as well as marketing programs as a part of its membership program. Fire Up Connect also offers virtual assistance with a wide range of services including inbound customer support, chat support, appointment setting and email management, graphic designing, video editing, web design and development, social media marketing, e-commerce solution, content writing and much more. For more information, head on over to www.fireupconnect.com. Fire Up Connect, helping success stories unfold every day.
Real men of real estate.
Men of Real Estate radio show here on KCAA. Boats, mortgages can be purchased.
All of us want to live in thriving communities.
Basically go to the radio station KCAA radio.com.
You can find us on your dial at 102.3 FM, 1050 AM, as well as 106.5 FM.
Welcome back to Building Solid Foundations. This is your host, Steve Matley. Today we're talking to Brian George. Brian George is a 20-year Navy veteran, and he is currently working with people on financial advising and charitable planning. When we left off, we were talking with Brian about his approach to helping people with the financial planning and starting with the why. What is really important to them? What are the priorities? One of those priorities, Brian, I want to get into is when we're helping people plan their finances, there's always that balance of how much cash flow do I need every month to live my life, pay the rent, buy the groceries, cars, insurance, those things, and then how much can I put away into retirement, and what is the amount of money I'm going to need for retirement versus how much do I want to make sure I leave as inheritance to my children. So in balancing all that out, what's your approach to finding that magic formula in there to make sure people have enough to live on but also have enough to retire on?
Again, it goes back to what's more important is leaving a legacy more important than what you're doing now. You know, is now or the future more important?
Okay.
That will inform all the decisions. I want to leave so much to my kids and grandkids, which means I can't buy the boat because I can't do both.
Okay.
I can't take a world cruise, every year because I have this thing I want to do in the future. Or maybe I want to leave the money to the bird center. So I can't spend it all because I want to do these things later on. Okay. And there's sometimes some tension. I really want to do this, but I also really want to do this. How do I do both?
Right.
And if it deals with philanthropy, if you want to leave a legacy to a nonprofit, that makes it a little easier to manage because there are some strategies where you can defer, reduce, and sometimes eliminate your taxes, and then you can use that money to donate to charity.
Okay.
Because that's the government put that in place generations ago. That you don't really get to keep this money, but if you want to give less to the IRS, you give more away to charity.
Yeah, you can decide where it's going as opposed to letting the government decide where it's going, if that's your option, right? Or if you have a certain cause. Obviously, people have their faith, their houses of worship that they want to support, their denominations. The people have educational institutions they want to support. People have health charities out there. They want to leave money in the name of somebody to help cure breast cancer or heart disease or lung, whatever it is. People have social causes. They want to give money to homeless shelters. They want to give money to soup kitchens or whatever. So all those are things that maybe it's hard to put a lot of that money forward during your lifetime because of the amount of money you just need to live on. But if you can put it into some coming out of the retirement that you can direct, there's maybe it has a chance to grow and build. It's almost like investing on behalf of that charity, and then you donate it over when you pass away.
So a lot of people leave a bequest
Okay.
in their will or their trust, and actually, if you're looking at planned giving, or you're going to plan a gift later, the majority of that is done through bequest. And contrary to what people believe, over 60% of that doesn't come from wealthy people. It comes from middle class people.
Okay.
Let's take you for an example again. Let's say you're a teacher, your wife's a firefighter, you've been married, for a while. You paid off your house, you have paid off your Airbnb house. You put your kids through college. You have causes you believe in, and you've given to them regularly, but you haven't really had a lot of disposable income because you're busy living your life. And now you put money aside for your grandkids to go to college. But you've made smart decisions, and maybe your net worth is, $500,000 up to $2 or $3 million. And then you say, I'm just going to leave 10% of my net worth to X, Y, Z. That's where most of the planned giving comes from requests from those kind of people. You're uber wealthy. They give large gifts. They give them now because they want to see the results of their gift while they're still alive.
Well, and they're also trying to shelter taxes too.
Well, yeah. Like I said, the IRS, if the government made it so if you want to pay less in taxes, you give more.
Right.
To charity. So when I work with organizations, nonprofit organizations, I tell them don't ignore, don't ignore the regular folks who just donate $1,000 a year, because those people may want to give you more. They just don't know how.
Right. Okay, and that's when you're working with the nonprofits, that means they have to have an intentional strategy of reaching out to people that are donors or potential donors and let them know that that's an opportunity to do that. I think most people don't know that that's something they can do. I think most people believe that large bequests come from the uber wealthy when they pass away.
So I worked with a small nonprofit, and they received a check from some guy who had left the area 10 years earlier. I live in Washington State. Family moved to Arizona. And one day, the organization got a check in. It was 10% of this gentleman's life insurance.
Okay.
Okay. So it wasn't a massive check. But that check covered all their operating expenses for a year. One person, one check. And then they finally got the crap. We should tell other people about it. And it was, we don't want people to die, but people die anyway. And
right.
They feel if more people knew that this was an option, you know, you want to leave 5-10% more if you want to your favorite charity, that's fine. That can pay some bills. So it's not even difficult. You just need to make people aware. And
right.
some will take advantage of it and some won't.
Yeah, I find the nonprofits that do the best at that tend to be the educational institutions. I get regular notices from the schools that I graduated from that are reminding me that I can put them into my estate planning. I get probably 3 or 4 times a year. I get these letters, notices, invitations to not forget them in my estate planning. And again, the colleges have always been very good through their alumni associations of going out after people to get money. There are other charities that seem to do fairly well at that, but the vast majority of them really don't. Most people don't know that that's an option. It's again, most people think that that's not something that they do. They don't think they have enough money to do it, and they don't know that's something that they can do. And I don't know that a lot of financial advisors are letting people know that that's something they can do.
Unfortunately, I have to agree with you. There's some numbers, right, that you're probably not aware of. According to the Federal Reserve, somewhere between 1% and 2% of household wealth is kept in cash. The rest of it is primarily in businesses or some kind of real property, mostly real estate. And the vast majority of it is available for charities to receive. If someone owes you money, you have a note, you can donate that note to charity. If you've got Fabergé eggs hidden in the backyard under the oak tree, you can donate those to charity. I mean, you'd have to get them appraised, obviously.
Right.
Last year, I had a client who donated a Picasso to her alma mater. And she said, "My son will. He won't pay attention. He'll give this to good. I don't want that."
Okay.
So it's now hanging up in the gallery.
Yeah, we hear a lot of the ads of people, the charities that let people know they can donate cars, but that's a very specific item. But I don't think they really let people know you can also donate all kinds of any kind of tangible item could be donated if there's value to it.
You can donate almost any. You can donate part of your business. If it's a private business, you can donate a percentage of your business to a charity. You still run it, but any profits from that portion of it goes to the charity.
It's like donating shares of your business to them, right?
Pretty much, yeah. So think of that number, 1% to 2%. So there's a vast amount of wealth that's available for charities to receive. Most of them don't know it. The ones that do know it, they think it's too difficult. And some of them just don't have the capacity because someone has to be doing that out.
Right.
Because planned giving, it's marketing, like any other, marketing.
Right.
What's available. But I'll talk to people. Have you ever donated to charity? No. Is that because you don't want to, or you don't think you can? Oh, I just don't want to. Okay. If you were going to donate to charity, who would it be? Well, SPCA and St. Jude. Okay, so you like animals and kids. So what if I could show you how you could actually give more?
So I'm going to take a quick break, and we're going to get back to the how you're going to do it as soon as we come back. This is Building Solid Foundations. I'm your host, Steve Matley. We're talking to Brian George, and we're going to learn how you can do that right after this.
Fire Up Connect is the most innovative business networking group, supporting and collaborating with a dozen of small businesses that are interested in building and establishing strong business connections, hosting educational live seminars while carrying out business and community-driven projects, as well as marketing programs as a part of its membership program. Fire Up Connect also offers virtual assistance with a wide range of services including inbound customer support, chat support, appointment setting and email management, graphic designing, video editing, web design and development, social media marketing, e-commerce solution, content writing and much more. For more information, head on over to www.fireupconnect.com. Fire Up Connect, helping success stories unfold every day.
Are you a real estate investor looking for a new opportunity in one of the top tourist destinations in the world? Look no further. Welcome to Punta Cana. Perla Bahia is a private resort-style community in Punta Cana that consists of modern condos, custom villas, and various commercial amenities. So if you're interested in learning more or joining us on one of our monthly investment tours, don't hesitate to contact me today at 909-494-2280.
Welcome back to Building Solid Foundations Radio. I am your host, Steve Matley. Today we are talking to Brian George. He is a financial advisor and charitable planner. And when we left off, he was explaining to us about people not really understanding that they can be donors to charity. A lot of people don't donate to charity, not because they're selfish, not because they're greedy, not because they're inconsiderate, just because they don't think they can, they don't know how they can. And he was going to be telling us how people can do it. So Brian, go ahead and let finish that thought on how you advise people to get involved in donating to charities.
So we talked earlier about some of the reasons people don't. I want to do so much for my kids and grandkids. I might live too long. I need my money. So this is a pretty common case. Woman had a business. She was 70 years old. She wanted to retire, sell her business, and then use the proceeds to live the life of the merry widow and travel around the world with her kids and grandkids. And she would foot the bill. Right? So the plan was to sell the business, take the net proceeds after taxes, and use that to fund, the merry widow lifestyle. So I was having dinner with her estate planning attorney at a fundraiser, and I said, that sounds wonderful. How about this as an alternative? And so instead of selling the business and paying, and the business was going to sell for $10 million.
Okay.
And immediately a little over 30% would be gone for capital gains taxes.
Right.
So now we're under $7 million because of taxes. So instead of selling the business, right, donate the business to a charitable remainder trust, which is a charitable vehicle. The trust then sells the business. But because it's a charitable vehicle, the trust gets to keep all 10 mil and there are no capital gains taxes paid.
Now, the charitable remainder trust is something that she sets up or the charity has that she donates it into? Okay. Okay, and then she passes the trust over to
well,
the
there's
charity,
right?
there's more, right?
Okay.
So she gets, she's the trustee of the trust. She gets to run what happens in the trust. Or she can hire a trustee, but the trust will then buy something with that $10 million that generates income between 5-6% a year. So now she's got the income for her lifestyle that she wanted. And not only does she have the income, she's got all the income because nothing was paid in taxes.
Okay.
Well, that money goes back to the donor. And the end result is when she dies, whatever's left in the trust will go to whatever charity she designates. So now she's getting all this income. She can take a third of that income and use it to fund another trust, which is an irrevocable life insurance trust, which will buy a life insurance policy on her where the death benefit is $10 million.
Okay.
So she has got max money. She's taken what she calls the IRS's money and using that to fund another trust, which replaces the value of the original gift. So there's no negative impact on what her family gets because they don't get the business. They didn't want it anyway. They don't get the business, but now they have a tax-free death benefit outside of the taxable estate, so it doesn't even add to the estate taxes when she dies. Right? So it's a pretty easy strategy to implement and easy to explain. And then, like I said, when she dies, whatever's left in the trust goes to the charity, whatever charity she designates.
Okay. So essentially, she gets everything she wanted out of it. The charity gets everything they want out of it, and everything works out. She gets to fund the rest of her life, and she gets to give the full value of that business to the charity.
And full value to her kids.
Right. So it basically took care of three different. It's like selling it 3 times.
Yeah.
Okay. And now, is that available in all states, or is that a federal law, or different states have different rules on those?
Different states have different rules, but pretty certain it'll work in every state.
Because Washington has no income tax, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. States like California, where I am, not only have income tax, they do it very aggressively.
But it would work. It works in California also.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, because we're talking capital gains taxes, and
right.
And capital gains taxes in California are 13.3%.
Right.
Plus you add the 20% from the federal government, and then you add another 3.8% from the federal government for the Affordable Care Act. And if you're in California, you're getting close to losing 40%.
Right. Okay. So, no, that's why, I've come out of the real estate investing world, development, and a lot of the way we structure projects is exactly that. It's trying to figure, okay, what's the most expensive kind of money you can get? Oh, well, that's going to be rental income. That's going to be, windfall profits, those kind of things. And then you work down to, okay, what's the least expensive money from a tax point? Well, that's going to be a cash out refi on appreciation. And then in between, there's short-term capital gains, long-term capital gains, different levels. And a lot of our business structure is built around the ROI that you see doesn't really matter until you've compared it to the tax rate that goes with that.
Yep. Because it's always there. And there are ways to defer and reduce capital gains taxes that have been in the tax code for 50 years now.
Right. And that's where I say, if you structure the correctly, you can maximize the return for everybody. like I say, at some point, in most cases, the government never really doesn't get their money; they just defer it. They'll get it at some point usually, and so your strategy is to figure out how do I push that off far enough out into the future that I don't see it, and then how do I protect my heirs from having to get eaten alive by those taxes? Because there's ways to strategize that as well.
And part of it's just controlling the flow. So let's say you get a big windfall. There's I forget the chapter. I'm not a CPA, but you can do an installment sale.
Okay.
And there's two types of installment sales you can do. One's just a monetized installment sale, and the other one's a deferred sales trust. But I'll use the monetized, and they both use the same chapter. But I'll use the monetized installment sale. It's a little easier to explain. So say you, once again, you sell your business or you sell your property, and you want to keep your income below $250,000 a year. And the reason you want to do that is because as soon as you go over 250,000, that 3.8% Affordable Care Act kicks in.
Right, and in California, actually, your tax rates go up significantly at that point too.
Yes, yeah. So that's one reason to do it. To put this money into a vehicle where you don't take all of it at once, and you get to control how much you get annually, and that way you control how much you pay in taxes.
Yeah, I think about. I was talking to someone earlier today about the idea of people that buy notes. So you buy a discounted note, and you're buying this note for a third of the appraised value of a property. You got some cash flow, but then you have to foreclose. So if you foreclose on it, now you have the full value of the property, which could be considered a windfall because all of a sudden you paid, $150 for a note, and you have a $700,000 property that you took back when you foreclosed on it, and so that's a huge increase, and that can eat you alive if you don't know how to manage that correctly.
So there was a couple there in their early 70s, and they bought their house 32 years ago in what is now a pretty affluent neighborhood. They bought it for $150,000, and now it's worth a little over $3 million. And they wanted to sell and move to Arizona or Nevada, someplace hot, doesn't get a lot of rain. But when they found out that even after, and this is not investment property, this is their primary residence, even after the $500K exclusion they get, for primary residence, and improvements that they've made on the property, there's still $2 million exposed to capital gains.
That's a lot.
30%, over 30% now, because
right.
Washington instituted their own capital gains tax this year, right? And they had decided, well, we don't want to give that much, Uncle Sam. We just won't sell, and when we die, it'll go to the kids, and they'll get a step up in basis, and everyone will be happy. But they're selling because they're going to take the proceeds and stick it in what's called a deferred sales trust.
Okay.
Which is another type of installment sale. So instead of you selling me your house, you sell it to the trust.
Right. Okay.
The trust gives you an installment note, and you pay no capital gains taxes because you've never taken constructive receipt of the funds.
Okay.
The trust immediately turns around and sells it to the buyer for the same price they bought it for. So the trust has no taxes either. And so now this pot of money is sitting inside the trust, and there are things that you can do with it. And you're making that face, so I think we're getting ready to...
We're about to take a break here, in a minute. So we'll pick up with that thought when we come back. We have a final segment coming up with Brian George. He is a long-term Navy veteran and a financial planner, and helps people with their charitable giving planning as well. This is Building Solid Foundations on KCAA. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back to wrap this up.
Fire Up Connect is the most innovative business networking group, supporting and collaborating with a dozen of small businesses that are interested in building and establishing strong business connections. hosting educational live seminars while carrying out business and community-driven projects, as well as marketing programs as a part of its membership program. FireUp Connect also offers virtual assistance with a wide range of services including inbound customer support, chat support, appointment setting and email management, graphic designing, video editing, web design and development, social media marketing, e-commerce solution, content writing and much more. For more information, head on over to www.fireupconnect.com. FireUp Connect, helping success stories unfold every day.
Real men of real estate.
Men of Real Estate radio show here on KCAA. Boats, mortgages can be purchased.
All of us want to live in thriving communities.
Basically, go to the radio station KCAA
You can find us on your dial at 102.3 FM, 1050 AM, as well as 106.5 FM.
Welcome back to Building Solid Foundations. This is your host, Steve Matley. We are with Brian George today. Brian George has been talking to us about financial planning, and with a big emphasis on planning on how you want to support your favorite charitable operations, whether that be your faith-based or education-based or healthcare-based or community service-based, whatever it is, social services. You can support whatever is important to you, whatever cause you have. Youth athletics, there's all types of things you can do, and you can do that even if you think you can't afford it. And Brian's been talking us through how that works. Before we go on, I want to give some information. If you are interested in what you've heard today, you want more information, because we've been throwing this out pretty quick. You can contact, for the Charitable Planning Network, you can contact charitableplanningnetwork.com, charitableplanningnetwork.com, no spaces. Or if you want to talk to Brian about financial planning, his Planning Network Partners, you can access that at planningnetworkpartners.com, planningnetworkpartners.com, no spaces, all one big word. And if you want to get hold of Brian directly, you can email him at brian@charitableplanningnetwork.com, brian@charitableplanningnetwork.com. That's Brian with an I, B-R-I-A-N. Or you can call him, 360-340-0601, 360-340-0601. So feel free to contact Brian or check out his websites if you have any questions or you want additional information on any of this. So Brian, when we left off, we were, talking about different vehicles that can be used, the trusts that we can use to sell businesses, to sell properties, to avoid taxes, and be able to support those charities. And it's while we're supporting charities, we're actually, if we've done this correctly, we have planned for a retirement where we will not run out of money before we run out of life. What would be a person's first step if they don't know anything about financial planning and they keep hearing, I need to start planning for my retirement, I need to start saving money, I need to start deciding what I'm going to do? What's the first step for them?
Well, first step is, let me take care of some housekeeping. Keep the regulators happy. Planning Network Partners is a registered investment advisory firm in Washington State. Okay. Take care of that. First thing you should do is you should find someone like me to talk to, preferably me.
Okay.
But find an advisor that you know, like, and trust, and that may take some time to find the right person. But find someone to talk to, because part of what I do involves an interdisciplinary process. So I partner with CPAs and attorneys, and tax deferral specialists, and we work much better together because we can get the whole picture of what the client's doing and offer options that they might not have thought were even available to them.
Okay.
So you need to find out what's out there that can be beneficial to you, and then decide, which options you're willing to go with.
Okay. Now, right. And so the first step is to go find someone you know, like, and trust that is like yourself, that's an advisor. And then if they already have a CPA, you can work with them, or you can refer them to CPAs or attorneys or tax specialists that can help out. And I think that's important that people take the first step to at least initiate some kind of conversation about it, because a lot of times we don't do something because we don't know about it. We're a little afraid of it because of lack of knowledge creates a fear and anxiety. So the easiest way to deal with it is procrastinate.
So the first thing I'm going to do, like our clients usually come from our CPA and attorney partners.
Okay.
Because we've talked about some strategies and they say, wow, this might work great for so and so. So let's get a little deeper in the weeds on this. Right? But if I'm talking to you, once I'm picking on you again, if I'm talking to you and I give you the treetop level of a strategy that I think might be beneficial to you, and you say that sounds kind of cool, next thing I'm going to say is, let me contact your CPA. Let the CPA vet this strategy.
Right.
And if your CPA thinks that it's good for you, then we'll circle back and bring you back into the conversation.
Right, and I think it's important to get the input from your accountant, from an attorney. A tax attorney is always important because the laws keep changing. Every time a judge makes a ruling or a legislature gets together, the rules change on us, and we don't always know that. And then the tax strategists that are out there, there are people that specialize in just figuring out strategy for taxes, depending on which situation.
The difference between tax planners and tax preparers, there's light years different.
Yes. Preparers are filling out forms, and they're compliance, dotting the I's, crossing the T's. Your planners are helping you put together strategies with specific objectives in mind of where you want to get to. And as you said, we start at the beginning. Start with the why. What's the priorities? What's your
exactly
outcome? Right. And it's different for every single person. All of us. That's the problem with just looking at a YouTube video or a book or something. Those are kind of one size fits all. They're good strategies and they're good places to start if you don't know anything. But what works for one person may not be the best for someone else, because we all have unique situations depending upon our jobs, self-employment, inheritances we received, investments we have, property we own. It's all different. What states we live in, it's all different. Right. Yeah. So, I work in a world of investors. I work in a real estate acquisition development company. That's what I do. And of course, everybody that I work with is all in a unique situation. Depending, I talk to them about money, and I tell them to go talk to their tax specialists before they make the decision to invest in my projects, to make sure that fits what they're doing, because it may or may not be the best thing for them depending what their goals are. And I do believe in starting with the end goal. We're about out of time here, Brian. I want to thank you for being on the show. This has been Building Solid Foundations. We've been talking to Brian George. If you want to get hold of him, you can go to, you can email Brian at charitableplanningNetwork.com. You can go to planningnetworkpartners.com. You can go to charitableplanningNetwork.com for the donation part of it, or call 360-340-0601, 360-340-0601 to get hold of Brian and talk to him and just pick his brain a little bit. And whether you decide to use him or not, I'm sure he'll be happy to share some of this information with you. Brian, thank you for being on the show. I've really enjoyed our conversation, and I hope to have you back in the near future.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Great. So this is Building Solid Foundations on KCAA, and we will see you next week. Until then, go do something different this week.
This is KCAA.
Hi, I'm food critic Alan Morgan, and I'm excited to tell you about Ray's Shanghai Bistro, located next to Redlands DMV on Lagonia in Redlands.